Zoo Negara Malaysia or National Zoo of Malaysia is the largest zoo in Malaysia. Located near the hillside in Hulu Kelang, Selangor, about 15 kilometers from the city centre of Kuala Lumpur, the location was formerly surrounded by lush jungle and rubber trees. The zoo faced numerous challenges throughout the history, and the challenges were started even before the opening of the zoo in the year 1963. What are the challenges that the zoo face, and why do we still need to keep the animals in the enclosure away from their natural habitat? Let's watch the animals in the zoo and understand of the adventurous history of Zoo Negara. The geography of Malaysia makes the country blessed with the richness of flora and fauna that inhabits the lush jungles and clear blue waters. According to Conservation International in the year 2000, Malaysia is listed as one of only 17 countries with megadiversity. Megadiversity means that there are a collection of unique plants and animals that are endemic to the country and cannot be found elsewhere in the world. Therefore, zoo plays an important role where the animals could see the behaviors of the humans. While riding a tram, let us look at the story of how Zoo Negara was initiated by temporary animal exhibitions. The earliest zoo in this country was established in Johor Bahru, Johor in the year 1928. At that time, zoo was called Kebun Binatang or Animal Farm. Before the country's independence in 1957, there was no national zoo as the cost of running a zoo is astronomically high. During the period, temporary animal exhibitions were held with low ticket price so that everyone could afford to enter. Temporary animal exhibitions were held during annual Malayan Agri-Horticulture Association Expo or MAHA. I talked about MAHA in the previous video where the oldest and the largest expo in the country still have a temporary mini zoos, both exhibiting wild animals and domesticated ones. To watch this video to know more about the MAHA expo, you can watch through the link up here. Tan Sri VM Hudson, one of MAHA committee members, set up the temporary animal exhibitions in MAHA and kept the animals in his estate at Bangsa. The temporary animal exhibitions in 1950s MAHA was so popular that there were demands to set up a zoo so that the people could visit and see the animals throughout the year. Due to immense financial resources needed, the government was not supported the zoo project financially in its early planning stages. Instead, a non-government organisation or NGO called Malayan Zoological Society, today Malaysian Zoological Society, was founded in 1961 to finance and select the location of the zoo. The society is a kind of Malaysian version of the more renowned Zoological Society of London, of which the society conducted the research all across the British Empire. A little bit pedantry here, the first chairman of the Zoological Society of London is Sir Stamford Raffles. The early suggested zoo location was at Perdana Lake Garden, today Perdana Botanical Garden, but the suggestion was rejected by VM Hudson as the site is in the middle of the city. Despite the availability of fresh water and strategic location, Perdana Lake Garden was rejected as the zoo area will be limited and surrounded by development as what happened at London Zoo. It was envisioned when the budget and the space the area permits, the zoo will consist of the open enclosures such as in Whipsnade, north of London. As the zoo was established by an NGO, Malaysian Zoological Society, instead of the government, the ownership and management of the zoo remains under the society until today. A 49-hectare or 100 acres of land in Hulu Kelang was chosen as the location of Zoo Negara due to several factors: near with the jungle, wide space to expand, and Kemensah River flowing in the middle of the zoo, providing steady supply of fresh water. Templer Park in Rawang was not chosen due to its far location from Kuala Lumpur, and Perdana Lake Garden was not chosen either due to its location in the middle of the city. With 1.25 million ringgit grants from the government, the zoo construction took about 2 years and the zoo layout was designed by Aubrey Neil Wiman, which is the first director of the Hiwala Zoo in Sri Lanka. Zoo Negara was officially opened by the first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman on the 14th November of 1963, less than a month after the formation of Malaysia. At that time, the zoo was officiated as Taman Haiwan Negara or National Animal Garden. The ticket price at that time was 50 cents for adults and 20 cents for children in a time where salary of a clerk is 80 ringgit per month. In the same year, Malacca Zoo was established, but the zoo was not open to the public until 1987, topic for another video. After its opening, Zoo Negara quickly becomes a major tourist attraction near the capital, with bus loaded with tourists and school children. In fact, it is a popular stop for school field trip for school students. Some Malaysians have visited the zoo at least once in their childhood. You may share the experience in the comment section. From the entrance, there is a tram station for the visitors who wants to ride the electric buggy instead of walking all the way. Near with the tram stop is the enclosure of Malayan tiger, the symbol of the country. Its images are embedded on the national emblem. The national football team is nicknamed Malayan Tiger. Its head image is the logo of Malayan Banking, doing trade as Maybank. The tiger images also embedded in the emblem of several universities such as University of Science Malaysia (USM), National University of Malaysia (UKM), Sunway University, and of course University Malaya. There is a tunnel where the visitors could see the tigers behind the glass. However, there are only less than 300, even lower, perhaps less than 200 Malayan tigers remain in the wild, and the number continues to dwindle. I will explain why later on. Next of the tiger enclosure is the lion enclosure. Since I visited the zoo in the afternoon, the lions rested below the shade of the shelter. The first animal that the visitors might see after passing through the ticket gate is a group of giraffes brought from Kenya. Where should a giraffe wear a tie? Is it above or below? Next to the giraffe enclosure is the Malayan tape or Tapirus indicus, an endangered species. Despite it looks like a pig, tape is genetically more closely related to rhinoceros and horse. Walk a little bit near the lake. There is an old bench that might be the only original bench from the zoo opening time in the year 1963. Behind the bench next of the zoo fence is Studio Merdeka, a film studio formerly owned by Shaw Brothers and currently owned by a government agency, Finas, since 1985. Little known to many, this is an old wooden bench used by P. Ramli in the film Masa-Masa Manis in the year 1965. Talk to any Malaysians aged 30 and above, they will know every line, every word from P. Ramli's famous films. A legendary artist he is. Bird aviary, officially named as Tun Tan Siu Sin Aviary, is the zoo aviary. There are a number of birds within their respective enclosures and non-flying ones in the open courtyard. There are hornbills, the symbol of the state of Sarawak. This is not the hornbill of Sarawak. This is the correct one. Rhinoceros hornbill, the state bird of Sarawak. The bird also appeared on the current 5 ringgit banknote, reversed. Walking among the open courtyard in the aviary is the red jungle fowl, with scientific name Gallus gallus, a species of wild chicken. Did you know that the red jungle fowls are the ancestors of domesticated chickens? Southeast Asia is the first region in the world where chicken were first domesticated. There is an abundant supply of bamboo seeds or bamboo rice in the jungle. Living among the red jungle fowls in the aviary are peafowls and mouse deers. Mouse deer is the symbol of Malacca, as in the folk history it was told that a mouse deer kicked a dog owned by Parameswara, the founder of Malacca Sultanate in the year 1400. The size of mouse deer is just this big, way smaller than a dog. The largest bird enclosure houses a flock of Milky stork which was threatened with extinction in the wild. According to a research paper in year 2010, there was only five Milky storks found at mangrove forest in Matang, Perak. That was about 14 years ago. Started with 10 storks in captive, the number of flock increased to more than 100. The conservation of Milky stork is one of the success stories of animal conservation in Zoo Negara. Between the lion enclosure and the aviary, there are few types of deer such as spotted deer, sambar deer and hawk deer. Nearby is emu, flightless birds from Australia with an interesting story. In 1932, emu war was sparked due to requests by the farmers in Western Australia as the emus destroyed the crops and caused financial loss. Australian government sent 7th Heavy Artillery from Royal Australian Artillery with 10,000 rounds of ammunition and 2 machine guns against the emus. Guess who won? From an estimated 20,000 emus which wrecked the wheat fields in Western Australia, the army successfully confirmed killed about 986 emus. 20,000 minus 986 is... Walking further is the enclosure of banteng, a bovine endemic to mainland Southeast Asia and Borneo. Uphill is the Asian elephant enclosure. Asian elephant is the symbol of the state of Pahang. You can see the pattern here that endangered animals are the symbol of Malaysia and the states within the Federation. On the way to the giant panda enclosure is the mammals, and most of them are sleeping in the hot tropic afternoon. Before the entrance to panda enclosure and ape center, there are dromedary camels. Camels are historically used to carry goods in a caravan. It was an ancient desert Mercedes-Benz truck. Ape Center located at the far end of the zoo was opened on 23rd of May 1990. What the fuck is that? The apes that exhibited at Ape Center and other places in the zoo are both local apes and apes from abroad. Ape together, strong! As in 2024, the center is under renovation, thus only the outdoor open enclosure are open to the public, which are chimpanzee and Sumatran orangutan. Behind the Ape Center is Orangutan Enclosure, which was opened by Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh in the year 1972. In 1994, Mixed African Exhibit was opened, which is the largest enclosure that housed the animals from the African savanna. Hi there, gazelle! Reptile House was opened in 1988 and housed tortoises and crocodiles outside and mostly snakes indoors. The amphitheater was opened in 1986 after the arrival of sea lions from California. Behind the amphitheater, there is an aquarium. National Aquarium was opened on 14th of November 1972 and officiated by 2nd Prime Minister Tun Abdul Razak Hussein. For about 6 years, the tickets for Zoo Negara and National Aquarium was sold separately. Starting 1978, National Aquarium entry was included in Zoo Negara ticket, enabling the visitors to visit the zoo and aquarium in a single ticket. The aquarium was renamed as Tunku Abdul Rahman Aquarium on 14th of November 1984 by none other than Tunku Abdul Rahman himself. In conjunction with 40th anniversary of Malaysia-China diplomatic relations, a pair of giant pandas was offered to Malaysia, a gesture commonly known as Panda diplomacy. In 2014, Giant Panda Conservation Center or GPCC has been completed and ready to receive the pandas and the visitors. Giant Panda Conservation Center was opened to the public on July 2014, albeit with some public outcry. Panda is the most expensive, if not one of the most expensive animals to be taken care of in a zoo due to $1 million annual panda conservation fee to China, enormous quantity of bamboo as panda food, and constant air conditioning. Thus, for a first few years of GPCC operation, an additional ticket price was charged to see the panda. The only time that Zoo Negara sold separate tickets for separate attraction was for the entrance to Tunku Abdul Rahman Aquarium between 1972 until 1978. The normal ticket for the Malaysians were RM30 for the adults and RM10 for the children under 12 years old at that time. Additional ticket into GPCC were RM20 for adult and RM10 for children, which make the total ticket price were RM50 for the adult and RM20 for children in 2014. Imagine paying RM20 extra and seeing this. As a comparison, all-inclusive ticket in Anno Domini 2024 is RM48 for Malaysian adult and RM21 for Malaysian children under 12. Unlike all other animals in Zoo Negara, giant pandas, Fuwa and Fengyi are owned by China and all their offsprings must be returned to China when they reach 2 years old. Fuwa and Fengyi should be returned when the tenure expired by May 2024, but the tenure has been extended until 31st of December 2024 and should be replaced by another pair. Zoo Negara faced the moments of joy and sorrow throughout its history. The economic downturn of 1973, 1998 and 2015 caused the decrease in ticket sales, which led to decreased revenue. Other than economic hardship, the zoo faced the severe reduction of visitors aftermath of racial riots in 1969. As a unity gesture, Malayan Tobacco sponsored the entry to the zoo on 21st of September 1969 for all races, religions and ages. After all races and ethnicities have smokers. Prove me otherwise. The most challenging moment came in 2020. Due to the widespread of pandemic, the whole country was shut down and nobody are allowed to move around unless necessary. Zoo Negara was closed to the public in March 2020, the first time ever it happened in the zoo history. Since no visitors were allowed to visit the zoo due to pandemic, Zoo Negara lost the most significant source of income, ticket sales. Therefore, the zoo rely on government relief assistance, corporate and public donations to cover all the costs. When the lockdowns was lifted gradually and the face mask rule were relaxed in the mid-2022, people are returning to the zoo after being confined in the house for so long. Among all the unique species in Zoo Negara, the crowd returned to see an animal that unexpectedly saved the zoo. Among all the endangered and less endangered species exhibited in Zoo Negara, visitors are coming back after the end of the lockdown to see an animal with the scientific name Felis catus. It is a scientific name for a house cat. Meow. Why are people willing to pay so much money to see a cat? And not just a cat, an orange cat. When the lockdown, movement control or whatever the name it is was enforced in the year 2020, according to the news outlets, an orange cat was found seeking refuge in capybara enclosure. The cat name is Oyen, the baby word for orange or oren in Malay language. There are stray cats roaming around the zoo, especially nearby the capybara enclosure, but none of them outshine Oyen. Oyen seems to bond well the capybara, and the capybara themselves is known to bond with the other species living in their proximity. Oyen and the capybaras are so popular in Malaysian social media that when Oyen was briefly missing after a flood in October 2023, netizens are so worried. Such a popularity that Oyen got its own name plug alongside capybara, delighting Malaysians online and in real life. At the end, the only animal that has its own nameplate in Zoo Negara is an orange house cat. Oyen the orange cat single-handedly or single-pawly saved Zoo Negara when people flocked to the zoo to see Oyen among the capybaras. When the zoo was opened back in 1963, Zoo Negara was once dubbed as Zoo in the Jungle, as it was surrounded by lush jungle and embraced its all sides. Due to ever-expanding suburbs of Klang Valley, the zoo is surrounded by residential areas on almost all sides. In the year 2000, Middle Ring Road 2 or MRR2 has been completed, making the access to the zoo from the city centre easier, but it caused rapid urbanization in Hulu Kelang. As a result, there is no more room to expand the zoo area. There were some proposals to move Zoo Negara away from the city and brought the animals nearer to the jungle. The proposed new location for Zoo Negara are not limited but includes Putrajaya, which is very likely wetlands, National Botanical Garden in Shah Alam and Hulu Langat. I talked about Hulu Langat in the previous video where the wild animals occasionally seen near the hot springs according to the early 20th century British holiday years. If you want to know more about the little known hot springs in Hulu Langat, you can click on the link above here. In the end, Zoo Negara remains at its present site as it is today. Therefore, there might be no pressing reasons to move the zoo to another location for now, as the current location is near with the city centre and the relocation process is too costly and time consuming. Why do we still need a zoo? Why the zoo still exists? The most obvious answer is just outside the zoo fence. The ever-expanding city and industries means that there is lesser and lesser space for the wildlife to live and roam. International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) has a classification of conservation status such as extinct means particular species is no longer exist, and extinct in the wild means that the species is only available in the zoo and forever lost in the wild. There are many factors that the wild animals are threatened by extinction: smaller jungle area, illegal logging, forest clearance for farms and plantations, poaching, road accidents and conflicts with humans that live near the jungle. Due to the smaller jungle area because of the development and agriculture, new cities, new towns, wild animals are increasingly in conflict with humans as the animals seek the food outside the jungle to speak. People who are living in a rural area who earn just enough ringgit to survive did care less about tigers and elephants destroying their crops and killing their livestock. New roads such as East-West Highway and Central Spine Road (CSR) and expressways such as East Coast Expressway or LPT cut the animal migration corridors, forcing the animals to cross the road. There are numbers of beloved endangered Malayan tiger, the symbol of the country, were killed by speeding vehicles after the opening of East Coast Expressway Phase 2 in the year 2015. I talked about East Coast Expressway Phase 1 and Phase 2 in the previous video, where the toll expressway was built through the jungle to save money on land acquisition and speed up the construction time. To watch this video to know more about the East Coast Expressway project, the link is up here. There are petitions and requests of closing down the zoo and moving the animal to animal sanctuaries. Then, who will pay for the sanctuary? Remember that I mentioned Malacca Zoo in the early part of the video. It used to be owned first by Malacca State Government and then by Department of Wildlife as an animal sanctuary, but opened to the public as a zoo in 1987. Why? Reason number one is so that the zoo management can make decisions free from interference from slow government bureaucracy about finance and decision making. And reason number two is to let the public see the animals that otherwise can only be seen in books and internet. Elephants and tigers are real, unicorns and mermaids are not. As an animal owner myself, letting the cat roaming free will expose them to dangers, cars, poisonous food, other cats, disease and cat thief, let alone irreplaceable species. Despite there is no more room for zoo expansion, there is still a room for improvements. Steel cages are slowly replaced with open enclosures with electric wires and the improvement is not only to allow the better view of the animals, open enclosures mimics the natural habitat better than the steel cages. Other than the need to replace the old steel cages to either glass or open enclosure, Zoo Negara need to have a better connectivity to the public transportation network. Due to its location away from the city centre, the tour bus KL Hop-on Hop-off does not stop near Zoo Negara. There are bus lines operated by Rapid KL, but the frequency is unreliable due to heavy traffic. The zoo location is far from any meaningful rail transit connection. The nearest station is Wangsa Maju LRT station, about 3.5 km from the zoo. There was a trial of Rapid KL City Hop between the 1st of February until 30th of April 2022, when the bus shuttle between Gombak LRT station, Zoo Negara and KL is small, but the service was terminated due to low demand. As a result, most of the visitors arrive at the zoo with private vehicles, not a sustainable way to travel. As a conclusion, Zoo Negara is the animal sanctuary that provides protection for the endangered animals and a green space for the humans, a green space in the middle of the suburb of Kuala Lumpur. If you want to visit Zoo Negara, the zoo is located at Hulu Kelang, about 10 kilometers northeast of Kuala Lumpur city centre. By bus, take bus 253 from Wangsa Maju LRT station or bus 220 from Raja Uda MRT station. By private vehicle, drive along MRR2 to Hulu Kelang. The direction to Zoo Negara often appeared on road signs, thus it is hard not to be missed. The zoo opened from 9 am to 5 pm daily, including public holidays. The ticket price as in 2024 is 48 ringgit for the Malaysian adults, 21 ringgit for Malaysian children below 12 years old, and 26 ringgit for senior citizens 60 years and above. For the foreigners, the ticket price is 93 ringgit for the adults and 48 ringgit for the children below 12 years old. There are two ways you can enter Zoo Negara for free as on 2024. 1. Persons with disability can enter the zoo for free. 2. Visit the zoo on your birthday. You may claim a free ticket between your birthday until 30 days after. Malaysians only. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Zoo Negara, the National Zoo of Malaysia, and its important role to conserve the endangered species in a mega diverse country. Thank you so much for watching again, and see you in the next video.